Media. How are you doing at this moment? Good to have you here again. Let's start our discussion. But before I go on, there's this important information I need to pass on to you. Number one, quickly, it's just to announce to you that FGN bond for the month of September is out. You have to grab the opportunity right now before it closes. It's right in the market now. It has been announced. That was announced yesterday. So try to do something about it. Now, then don't forget that FCMB is closing tomorrow. Then at the same time, Zenith Bank is also out there if you want to take the opportunity as an investor. Do something about it and kindly think about your future. It's all about future we're talking about here, your retirement and everything. Or passive income somewhere that you can really rely upon at the end of the day. So that's why it's very important for you to grab this opportunity right now. Welcome back to Chokitable Media. So right now, let's jump into the discussion that I need to give to you today. Now, I met okay, before that, there's this word they call compound. And I discovered that this word compound is actually associated with several other words. Sometimes you can use it, standing alone, or you can also use the word compound together with other words, like fool, compound fool. Then again, you can still use the word compound with family compound and all the rest. Then you can also use this word compound, in a manner that you can put interest in front of it, and you can call it compound interest. So right now we want to talk about compound interest. Do you know anything about compound interest? Because I met some people, I stumbled upon them where they were doing discussion. Now, one of them is a lawyer and one of them is actually a professor, and both of them were arguing over the word compound. They were trying to say, okay, what is compound interest? What is not compound interest? But at the end of the day, I discovered that both guys got it all wrong talking about compound interest. So it is not about a certificate that you have or the type of profession that you have that will actually make you to understand the word compound or what compound interest actually really mean. So when I talk about compound here, I'm talking about the compound of interest that we're talking about compound interest. So both of them got it all wrong on the angle of compound interest. So do you also know compound interest? Do you know what they call compound interest and what it will benefit you and what it will do for you today and tomorrow and the next? Do you actually know? And that is why I'm here now to let us discuss about compound interest, because these two professionals, these two guys, the lawyer and the professor, actually got it all wrong from our angle. So compound is not just the compound we're talking about compound interest here. So let us do something about this, go into financial knowledge, financial capability, because if you have all these certificates and you don't have this financial knowledge on how to maximize your salaries or your income or your wages on compound interest, then you are failing. You are failing. You're actually paying for somebody, whereas somebody's supposed to pay for you. Let's go further, because I discovered when I was reading that Albert Einstein also said something about compound interest. What did he say? He said, you have to take the chance of using compound interest. Let me give it to you directly the way he said it in his word. He said, Albert Einstein is often quoted as saying, compound interest is the 8 wonders of the world. 8 wonders of the world. That's what Albert Einstein called compound interest. So those who understand it earn it, and those who don't understand it ended up paying for it. So that is what Albert Einstein said. So, and then he knows, knowledgeable. So what about you? Have you learned about compound interest? So have you, tried to see if it's going to work for you rather than what you know before? So compound interest, as its core, compound interest means earning interest not on just the initial investment that you have, but also on the interest that accumulates over time. This process leads to exponential increase in each interest payment. So what we're saying here is, you have your bank account. Sure, fine. You have your savings account. So if you have a savings account, not the current account, you have a savings account whereby interest is rolling on that account that you have. But the ability to take it step further and ask your bank to try to add your interest to your capital. That is what we call compound interest. So your capital will not remain the same. Your capital will be added together. The total money is what I call capital, because you may be wondering, what is capital? Because that's another word we need to explain to each other. So it is the money that you save in the bank, your money that you put in the bank. So taking a step further by asking them, whenever it is the end of the month or whenever you put interest, because normally or generally they have to put interest on that money that you kept with them, because keeping the money with them, they use the money for some other things as well, because you just kept the money. It's not just keeping, like I said in one of my previous video. They will have to add something on top of that money that you keep them, which is the capital. So that's what I'm saying here. So the interest, the ability of the bank, or for you to ask them, look, okay, what I want to ask you is, can you please recapitalize my interest on my money, the one I have with you? So that is what we call compound interest. So, but you have to propose that to them so that your money will be intact and you will see increment in the money that you put in the account. So the Corporate Finance Institute described compound interest as interest on interest. So I say interest on interest, where interest amount varies with each period instead of remaining fixed to the original principal. So interest will be varying at every month. The previous month you added your interest to the capital. So this month again, now you want to add another one. So definitely you are not having the same capital again, because the one of the last month was added together. For example, you have 10 euro in the bank. Now last month they gave you interest of 5 euro. So you added that 5 euro together with it. So now what you have now is 15 euro capital. So 15 euro capital that you have now, at this month of September, now you want them to add your capital again. You have them to add your interest again to your capital. So they will have to put the extra 5 euro again on top of that 15 euro. So you know that you have something extra now. So you're getting a 10 euro extra for the last 2 months that we're talking about right now. So it is 10 euro plus another 10 euro, 5 in August and 5 in September. So interest upon interest. So your original principal is not the same again. So definitely you'll be having 20 euro capital at the end of the day. So it increases like that. If you go further, Investopedia highlights that the magic of compounding allows your money to grow at a much faster pace compared to single interest, which only consider the principal for the saving for investing. We've explained this enough. It will keep increasing and you are benefiting. So compound interest acts as a powerful ally, significantly boosting your returns. So you're having returns. It's just like you're making investments. However, if you are in debt, compounding can make it increasingly challenging to settle what you owe. So, but that aside, but what we are talking about here, we're not talking about how you're going to settle your debt. We're talking about how you're going to benefit from what you have already in the bank. So we're not talking about payment of debt now. But you can go further and check Investopedia. When you check Investopedia, you'll be able to understand more what Investopedia is trying to tell you about the word debt. We're going to talk about debt again, anyway, from some of my comment video, we'll say something about debt and explain debt to you also. And I will also try to explain to you if it's actually good to go into debt. And if you go into debt, what is the consequence of going into debt? Do you need to, do country need to, borrow money and go into debt? Do people also need to borrow money and go into debt? Because all these things you're talking about, all the bonds, all the, corporate bonds and the, federal government bonds and all the rest that we're talking about, also it's a debt upon the government that is borrowing money from you. So we're going to talk about that one later on a personal basis, individual basis, and general basis, talking about company and talking about the government as well, borrowing money from the citizens. So according to Forbes also gave us an interesting definition. He said, according to Forbes, interest can be compounded at various intervals, annual, monthly, daily, or even continuously. You can keep on doing that and instruct them, put it down there, let it keep rolling in, daily, monthly, and annually. The more frequent interest is compounded, the quicker your principal. I talk about principal. The principal is also the capital. We be increasing, will be bigger than what you have in the bank before. So far, you don't touch the money. Even if you touch part of the capital, so far you have the instruction on, capitalize my interest. So definitely the money will still, you will be hedging out. The money will also be still be there. So in this video right now, I'm going to show to you an example of, how compound interest works. I will show to you, like that's, stages upon stages. I will put it down here for you. Now you can watch. Look at it yourself. Look at the figures yourself. Look at the way it is increasing. So you can also find compound interest calculators on the website like bankrate.com. You'll find it there. And investor.gov, you can also find it there. So use all these simulators also to understand what compound interest is. It's all about. You can just put up a figure and put it there in the simulator, and the simulator will keep on calculating for you on monthly, daily, or annual basis downwards. And you, at the end of the day, you will understand what compound interest is. And it is very interesting that at the end of the day, you are not going to remain the same. Your capital is not going to remain. It's not going to remain the same. Your principal is not going to remain the same. So you will be earning more than what actually you put in the bank, rather than the bank taking your money, but you are earning more from the bank. They will take whatever charges they want to take from you as well, but it doesn't really matter. But so far that you have, increase in your principal and in your capital that you put in the bank. So basically, that is what we call compound interest. So we will talk more about compound interest and all the rest at a later time. So tune in and try to see what I have to say to you, and you will surely be benefiting from what I'm saying to you. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel. This is Choki Table Media, Choki Finance, coming to you from the studio of Choki Table. So then you'll be able to, subscribe and share. Tell other people to come in and enjoy what we say here, because it actually benefits you. So let me leave you right now. Then I'm going to see you next time. Don't do what I won't do. Keep investing. Choki Finance. Bye for now.